Welcome to Unravel the Raveled Marriage and Family Therapy. I'm Wade, and I wanted to talk about some board games that I think contribute to improving communication skills. One of the biggest issues that couples and even individuals come in facing is how to work on communication, how to see the other person's point of view, how to try to get your brain to change your perspective so that you can hear what another person is saying, even though it's not from your perspective. And it may feel foreign, and I can't see all the information. And for a lot of people, that's very hard because if I can't logic why you think what you think or feel what you feel, I struggle to understand what you're trying to tell me or to receive it. So, board games are not going to be the answer to that for everybody. That often takes a lot of work, but I think board games are a fun way to work on those skills and to give yourself an opportunity to kind of see, oh, had I had your information, I might have done this, or I might have looked at it this way. Now that I see what you had, I see what you were trying to do, and I could have responded differently. So, I have a light, medium, and heavy board game for whatever your preference is. Some like some meat on the bone, and some might want something very simple. And if you're pretty much used to playing Monopoly, then none of these are going to seem real simple. But as far as board gamers would classify them, light, medium, and heavy is pretty apropos for what they are. So this first one, the title is not the greatest. It's not my favorite pasted on theme, but I think it's a really good one and very easy, and that's Regicide. So you could technically play this with any deck of cards. But the communication piece, it's a cooperative game. In fact, all of these games that I'm going to talk about are cooperative. But it's a cooperative game, and basically you're trying to defeat the jacks, the queens, and the kings. I'm not going to go into depth about all the rules, but the hand of cards you have and that your partner has, you can play up to 4 players, but I think this is great for a couple. It's adapted to solo 2, 3, and 4 players. I don't think you can go over 4. But your hand of cards is the only information you have. You don't know what your partner has, but you are both working together to try to defeat your enemies. And there's a lot of really having to put your brain in, okay, this is what I can see in my hand. You need cards. You need to build, it's only the suits that you have in your hand that give you special powers to draw cards, refill your deck, nerf the enemy, basically weaken the enemy so they can't do as much damage to you, and then like some extra bonus to your hits against the enemy. So drawing cards is probably one of the biggest ones that you have to anticipate. If you see your partner has not many cards, sometimes you might have to take a little bit more damage in order to make sure both of you get to draw cards. So it really puts you in the position of having to not only think about like, what do I have available to me, but what might my partner need? Because you're not supposed to talk about what is specifically in your hand. Now, I think you're technically allowed to talk in generalities, like, hey, I can probably help fill our hands back up, or I might be able to help us with our total damage, or, but you can't say, I can get us both to draw 5 cards. Like that is, you could house rule that, but that would kind of sort of take the idea out of the game. So the way I would encourage using this as a therapy exercise is to, one, learn the game. Just play it. Just learn how to play it. I think that in itself, and getting a good feel for, oh, I can work with my partner and we've got a good feel. It's not real easy to beat, even if both people know what they're doing and how to do it. So it definitely allows you to make multiple attempts. It takes probably 15 minutes to play a game, maybe. I don't even know if it takes that long. before you've won or lost. If you win, it might take a little longer because you're defeating all your enemies, 12 enemies. So, um, but I think another opportunity for folks that are really trying to work on our communication is to play until you lose, because you'll probably lose several games in a row before you win one, unless you're just super mathematically brilliant or something. But when you lose, lay down that final hand and say, hey, this is what I was trying to do. Tell me about what you were trying to do. And the key here is not to blame, oh, you could have done this and we would have won. It's not to do that, because you might have beaten one more enemy, but you don't know what the next one was going to be. So just to understand, like, how was your partner seeing how they were playing cards? And then you say, okay, this is how I was seeing it, and this is what I was thinking. But let's try again. And now that we kind of know how each other thinks a little bit, maybe that'll help us. You play again, you lose again, and then you lay down that final hand and you kind of say, okay, so tell me, what were you thinking? This is what I was trying to do to help us both. What are you trying to do to help us both? And then rinse and repeat. And I think it's a really easy, great opportunity to develop those skills. So Regicide, you could probably look up the rules online and then just play it with a deck of cards if you know what the cards do. But if you like the fancy art, then it's probably about $20 to purchase a copy, maybe 25 if you include shipping and whatnot. You might even be able to find it at like a Barnes and Noble or Target, possibly. Definitely would be available, maybe at a local game store, but you would definitely be able to find something online if you were hunting for it. So, really good one, very basic, easy to do. Okay, number 2, a little more complicated, a little harder. If you've played spades before, then this is a very spades-like game. And that's called Sail. Now, I bought this years ago. I am not sure how hard it is to find. And I've got some fancy little upgraded pieces that I put in mine. Honestly, don't play this a ton. Nobody in my family really likes spades that much. I probably like it more than anybody else. And we have some other games that use the same spades mechanics. But I do think, very much like Regicide, you're trying to sail a ship through a board that is a sea, trying to avoid monsters. You're trying to get to a certain spot on the board without taking too much damage. And you, again, don't know what your partner has. You are just playing cards to sort of manipulate your boat to move it down the ocean, and you're working together to do that. And there are multiple levels, and the bigger the levels get, the harder it gets, but you get better too, and each of you is going to have some kind of a special power you get to work with, but you will know what your partner's special power is. So you could play into their abilities and they can play into yours. And what I really like about that is it reflects kind of the dynamics of most couple relationships. Both of you bring strengths to the table. Both of you have areas that you wrestle with. And it really puts you in a position of, how can I help my partner play to their strengths while I'm also playing to mine? And I think that's a good, healthy way to be. And it also puts you you're also wanting to assume the best. And you can kind of do the same thing that I recommended with Regicide. You can kind of, all right, let's see what we have in our hand. How could we have done this differently? Reflecting on it after you've played a game and maybe lost. And I think the very first scenario is challenging enough that most folks could probably get this, and as a communication exercise, lay out your hand, see, okay, what could we have done differently? And then learn from that. And then how do I generalize that into what I do in life? When I am feeling blamed about being asked to do a chore or whatever it may be, how can I approach my partner as, okay, I might not be seeing their strength right now, but let me assume they have one, and let me listen and hear what they're trying to say, and then see if I can bring something to the table that keeps the dynamic from becoming an argument and makes it more of a conversation and helps us move forward in whatever our goals as a couple are. So that is Sail. Good fun game. It's one that, even though I don't play it a lot, I keep it around because it's a very small box, doesn't take up a lot of room, and it's kind of unique in among a lot of the board games. Even though it has that what do you call it, the spades mechanic, I think it's different than spades. And there are other games that more strongly lean into that mechanic. So if you really don't like spades, I don't know that you wouldn't like Sail. Just know that there's card play and you're winning suits. So that's why I compare it to spades. It could be any number of games that win suits. So, okay, heavy one. Are you ready for this one? This is a big one, but of these three games, easily my favorite of these three. And this one is called Spirit Island. So I'll hold the box up. I won't show you many of the pieces. Very pretty. And again, cooperative game. So you're working together. You're trying to, essentially the theme is you play as a spirit with very sort of specific cards and powers that you're leveraging. Everyone else is a different spirit. Very different powers. It's very asymmetric. So if you're not familiar with that in game terms, each person is, I wouldn't say they're playing an entirely different game, but what they're trying to do with their cards and their resources is going to be slightly different than what you're doing with your cards and your resources. Some of them are a little more defense-based, some of them are a little more offense-based, so forth and so on. And there's all manner of in between. But you are essentially defending an island from invaders who are coming to overtake it. And you really have to leverage your powers. And one of the elements of the game, in fact, elements, and if there are a certain number of elements in the air on a given turn, then you can use those. That's actually, it doesn't help your partner very much. Honestly, what probably helps your partner is just kind of being aware of, are they going to lose pieces on the board because I don't defend something? And having a little bit of communication. Now, you can't say necessarily everything you're going to do, but you can have a little bit more open communication in this game than, say, the other two games, which you're supposed to have hidden information and you're not revealing to your partner at all. These are a little bit more open, and it's hard in turn to figure out how to chase these invaders off the island because they swarm. As the turns go on, you get like a few early turns, but you're pretty weak as a spirit, and it takes you several turns to build up your power. So you're really trying to figure out, how can I build up fast enough that I can handle the swarm when it comes. And there are certain cards that are harder to play. They're more powerful, but you have to build up your character in order to play those cards. So really good game. A lot more rules. This is heavy. If you're not okay with reading a lot of rules and making sure you understand how the mechanics work together, don't recommend this game. It's going to be too hard for anybody that's like, Monopoly is the heaviest thing I've played, and I don't want to play anything heavier than that. You don't want to play Spirit Island. It's not going to be for you. But it is a really fun game, and if you like a really nice puzzle challenge that also forces you to kind of work on communication with your partner, it's a very good game for that. And if you have a family and you have kids, then I think this is also a good way of teaching them how to work together. I played this, I want to say it was 3 players, and one time, I played it multiple times, but I played it once with 3 players, one of my friends and his son. And it was interesting. That was the first time I played with like not 3 adults. And it was interesting because my son's kid just sort of went his own path. He did not want to try to synergize with us at all. He wanted to do his own thing, and we lost because that one player was not synergizing at all. It put us in a position where we really couldn't, 2 of us together doing the best we could, and we're both gamers, we could not overcome the odds that the game, that the invaders are putting up against you without a third person who is really trying to figure out how to work with us. Them by themselves, they got wiped out pretty fast. I think we lasted maybe a turn longer, and then we got wiped out. So, really good game for developing a work together ethic. And so that is I don't. That's not all the games. One more I would throw out there, if you have D&D type family, you know, they kind of like Dungeons and Dragons or Dungeon Crawlers, would be Gloomhaven. I'll throw that one out there. I don't have a box right here with me, but Gloomhaven is a fantastic game. A little more, even crunchier than Spirit Island. Lots more rules. You probably have to look up some things online as you play, but definitely everybody gets their own character. You're working together. You're trying to defeat various scenarios, and also fosters some level. You must have some level of communication in that game, without giving away everything right in front of you. And so there you go. Regicide, Sail, Spirit Island, and then I'll throw a runner-up, Gloomhaven. That one's a bigger, heavier one, much harder to get a hold of. So that's it's hard to recommend that because it's not as easy to get as some of these other ones. But good games for working on communication, family dynamics, connecting with each other, and learning from each other, and trying to figure out how can I use and leverage the strengths of my other family members to accomplish a goal. So hopefully somewhat applicable to life as well. Thanks for joining me today. That's what I got from Unraveled the Raveled Family Marriage and Family Therapy.